Hey, hello and welcome to our Get Creative for the month of February. This month we are going to be creating sort of personal silhouette collages that are speaking to our own identities. We're going to be taking a lot of inspiration this month from the work of artist Kara Walker. She's a very prolific artist and worked a lot with collages and collage installation, especially in her early work and early career. So we're doing a lot of kind of thinking about ourselves, reflecting on our place in the world, and kind of creating something kind of reflective of that. As a reminder, we do have kits with supplies that are available. If you go ahead and register, and at suffolkpubliclibrary.com, you can go ahead and pick those up as well. And then, so I'll go through really quickly what you'll get in that kit, and there will be one or two things that you will need to provide as well. So in everybody's kit, you will have the black cardstock and white cardstock, so that you'll, and a couple of sheets of each, so that you'll be able to create a few layers or have a backup in case we aren't happy with our first turn, as well as everyone will get a white sketch pencil. I'm hoping that most people have regular pencils or something if they wanted to do a silhouette on their white paper to go onto the black, but not quite as many folks have a white pencil to be drawing on our black paper. So this is going to be included as well. And also, everybody will get a glue stick so that they'll be able to actually assemble your collage. A couple of things that you might need that you will not be including. Obviously, we don't have pictures of all of you, so this is the one that I'm working with today. But I recommend having a printed picture. It's going to be a lot easier to work with that way. There are a few other ways that you could work around it, but having something printed is going to be pretty much the simplest way to go about it. And then something to cut with, so scissors, an X-Acto knife, something like that, will also be quite helpful in this. You might find that an eraser is helpful, particularly if you're worried about marks. I'm going to show you how we're doing it. We're going to be actually working and marking on the inverse and the back of our paper. So if you don't have an eraser, or you don't have one that works super well with your pencil, pen, whatever you're using to mark, that will be completely fine. A couple of other completely optional things, and this would just be how you're choosing to personalize your work, is you could add little foam bumpers or spacers in between your layers. We'll be looking at a couple of different reference images from Kara Walker's work, and some of hers, she's creating sort of almost a 3D effect that we could, if we wanted to, recreate in our own work, and that would be doing that with some of these foam spacers like that. Or if you're interested in pulling in additional collage material, like maps, illustrations, things like that, you're absolutely welcome to. Again, we'll take a look. I'll throw in some images right here into the video so that we have some sort of reference images so you get a sense, and trying to get inspired. I highly recommend you pull things that are meaningful to you. Maybe it's a map of a town that you grew up in, or illustration of your old high school or something like that. So let's go ahead and get started. And just a quick note, as you're looking at printing, I would note how much you're able to really see your lines, and particularly where you're going to be cutting. So if you have a hard time kind of seeing the difference between your background and your foreground, or your background or your person that you're looking to cut out, particularly in the face region, then I would say try printing something in black and white and seeing if you're able to make those distinctions a little bit clearer. The big thing is that we're going to be cutting away, and the background won't matter at all. We're going to be putting it onto our silhouette piece. So that might be a little trick for you to be able to find your piece a little bit better. Or if you're taking a brand new picture, standing in front of a background that is quite different from your skin tone, hair tone, that is going to give you quite a lot of contrast, and that will make it far easier for you when it comes to actually cutting these out. Alright, so now that we have our piece sketched out, our silhouette sketched out in reverse on our black paper, so this is actually going to be the back of our black paper here that we're using. Feel free to, this is the time to go ahead and make any edits, embellishments, if you want to exaggerate something, if you want to de-emphasize something, if you say, oh, I'm not sure it's quite clear enough that this is a bump from my hat and not just a weird bump in my hair, so let's make sure that this is like a really, defined kind of brim here. And then, this is the time to go ahead and make your edits and make your kind of call. For me, I'm also looking at it and I'm saying, oh, I'm not sure that I'm all that pleased with the way that the glasses are turning out. So I was trying to keep them on, and I'm not quite sure that it's really translating very well. So we might just snip them off like that. And so feel free to, this is the time to go ahead and make your little edits, make your little touches here and there, so that you can really be pleased. And this is also something where I would encourage, like if you have some texture in your hair, make your designs and your edits large enough so that you will actually be able to see them and make an impact with your silhouette. So I've been kind of re-spiking my hair in this little section, and when I cut it, I will actually be making little cuts into here. So kind of consider that as it's like, okay, what texture would I like to be introducing, and how can I introduce that? And if it's not a completely faithful interpretation of your image, that's entirely fine. No one is going to hold up the picture and police you about it. So this is the time to make your edits, and then we'll go ahead and cut out our silhouette. Alright, so we have our piece cut out, and remember we did all of our marking on our back, so once we have finished this, then we flip it back around, and it is once again the same direction as our original reference image. So take a look at it. It's going to look completely different once it's in like silhouette. Make sure that you're happy with your little details that you have, and I hope you certainly took your time with your details, and definitely around your face there's lots of little, small details and things that you feel like you need to, really take your time. This isn't a piece that you should really be rushing through that, especially in this area. You can kind of chop through your especially if you were wearing like a big bulky coat like I was, you can cut through those pretty quickly. Now we'll get to actually layering on and doing our actual collage piece. So there's a few ways that you can do this. There's, in reference to some of our earlier images that we looked at by Kara Walker, that we have some where we can pull in previously done illustrations and things, or other collage materials, or we can create layered additional pieces of paper. So say for instance, additional pieces of your light and create what we saw in that one, which was different layers of trees that went above or closer to the viewer on top of the actual silhouette of the individual in the middle of the swamp. So you could totally do that and create basically a frame within your own work. And I think I'm going to be doing a little bit of both today. So feel free, find kind of what fits with you, what takes you, and then we'll just keep creating. Alright, so now that I have all of my multiple pieces cut out for my collage, including my silhouette, you'll notice that I did actually reverse my silhouette, and I just ended up using my eraser to erase the couple of little white lines that we had on the back. So if you end up putting together your collage and thinking, oh, I'd really like to be facing one way or the other, and you want to use the back side of your silhouette, that's absolutely fine. These pencils erase pretty cleanly with just a regular eraser, so you should be good to go there. I will say, give you the warning of kind of be gentle, especially towards the edges. You don't want to wrinkle yours too much like I have done on some of my points here. So now that you have your pieces kind of organizing, seeing how they fit in, remember you can always layer them differently, kind of finding a piece that how you want to get them to sit in and fit together. And then you'll just glue them down once you have everything laid out. Alright, so here is our finished piece. Now that we've glued everything down, we've made all of our layers, and remember, you can do yours however you'd like. You can add your collage pieces underneath. You can add collage pieces on top. You have your silhouette, and this is really all about you and reflective of kind of your personal identity. That's really where we're, really taking a lot of inspiration from Miss Walker today, Carol Walker today, and she was always doing a lot, talking about her own identity and her own racial identity. So I encourage you to do a lot of thinking on your identity, whether it's your personal, broader, communities that you belong to, whatever, and kind of make something that feels like you and kind of connects you to the space that you inhabit. So thank you for joining us, and once again, if you are interested, you can sign up. You can get a supply kit with some of the supplies that will make things a lot easier, especially the white pencil. The white sketching pencil is going to make things a lot easier when you're actually doing your personal silhouette. So, alright, we'll see you next month.